Good evening. We'll call the meeting of the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, March the 13th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. All present are staff. Council members Tim and Rob are gone. Thanks to the others for being with us tonight. If you wish to address the council, you have that opportunity on open business from the community. Otherwise, not much discussion tonight from everyone else. We do have some mayoral appointments, and we'll get to those in just a little bit. Standard agenda item number 1A is the approval of the February 27th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes. Council members, you've had those in your packet.
So move.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor then of the February 27th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 3-0. Next is claims for payment for March the 13th. Travis, any questions with those?
None.
Okay. John, questions?
None, thanks.
Jen, any questions?
No.
Hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion for their approval.
So move.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded again by Jen. All in favor then of the March 13th claims for payment, say aye.
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 Those against? That passes 3-0. Next is open business from the community. And hearing none, we'll move to the mayor's report for today. Thanks to those that were patient with the road conditions this past weekend. Obviously, with the snow and the freezing conditions, the roads became very difficult to travel on. Please remember that there are many activities held at our local library. This is a great place for family members of all ages to spend time at reading, learning, and having fun. Thanks again to our staff members and council members for working through the budget process. We continue to be fiscally responsible and also looking forward with good projects for the betterment of our community. Tonight we'll be giving the oath of office to Terry, Robert, and Israel. We thank them for their commitment by serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and also the Hawarden Regional Healthcare Board. Our thanks goes to everyone that volunteers their time and their talents by serving on different boards and committees within Hawarden. I found this quote from Coretta Scott King that says, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. Everyone's volunteerism, I feel, and actions are necessary in making Hawarden a great place to call home. We thank everyone for all of their efforts in making our community a better place to be. We'll move on, please, to staff reports, and we'll start with Corey, please.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. That was fast. Mr. Pickner, anything from your point of view there?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. Jacob, I know you have some things for us.
I do. So in your council packets, I sent you guys the treasurer's report this meeting. This is something that's going to be coming more often. So since you guys will be seeing it more often, I wanted to make sure that you guys understood what you were looking at with this. In this, it is a breakdown of the cash balance in each fund as of a certain date. In this case, it was March 7th, which was just the example that I pulled up for this. For the funds, I gave you each another page kind of going over the breakdown of what kind of funds you might see on this page. You're not necessarily going to be able to determine what kind it is there, but it kind of gives you a little description there for that. Main things that you're going to be looking at is you can see the revenues that we received that month so far in that fund and the expenses, the changes in liabilities there as well. And then the total cash balance for each one. What you're going to be looking for, or like possible negatives or something that you think that looks out of place, you guys can bring up with questions for me, and I can give you answers for that. For these ones, we have quite a few negatives that are just due to transfers that aren't happening yet. So those are the budgeted transfers from like the utilities and stuff goes to cover for our general fund type stuff and then employee benefits. And then you also have like your telecommunications down at the bottom. It's broke out individually, but as a whole, they are still fine. So aside from that, whenever you guys have any questions on this, I will try and answer you guys the best I can. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's important that obviously the council gets great information, and we appreciate that. Travis, you've been busy.
Yes, I'll start with, you probably noticed on Highway 10, there's a marker in the middle of the road next to Porter Funeral Home and Jeff Radiator and Repair. That was a manhole lid, sewer manhole lid that broke over the weekend, 2 weeks ago. And the ring is also split, so any new lid doesn't fit in there just right. So any vehicle going over it could spin it up. And so we have a new one purchased, and we're been waiting on the weather because it has to be cut out, concreted back in. So we're hoping early next week. And then also I'd like to touch on the rain and snow melt. I know our crews have been out all day trying to divert water into the street and into our storm drain system so it can get out away from homeowners. They've even gone so far as cleaning the snow off of certain properties where they see a pond of water. If they can get that flowing into the street and then down into the storm drains, then that helps a lot. Right now we have water over the road on Avenue L south of First Street. It's way down on the south end of town. We imagine that'll be over the road through the night, and hopefully tomorrow it'll be gone down. The other section is on Avenue L north of 23rd Street. I happen to live up there, but I think that's a clogged culvert. So, and then we've got water on the road in Frog Pond on Avenue A between 8th and 10th Street. We're monitoring that. All of Frog Pond flows in south into the creek area, and that's so high that it's not letting storm drains to flow anymore. So we're just going to monitor that. It shouldn't come up any unless we get more rain, then it's a possibility of that coming up. We're also been monitoring the NOAA National Weather Service. They've got a gauge on the bridge on the north side of town that gives us the level of the river, keeping a very close eye on that. As of 4:30 today, the projections were 31.3 foot crest on Saturday night. And put that into perspective, last year we had a 34 foot crest, so that would be just a little over 2.7 feet less. So as long as it doesn't go over the 34 foot, I feel confident we'll be okay. So we'll monitor that and take appropriate actions if needed.
Could you give us just a little bit of an overview? A lot of us have already been through it a number of years, but kind of an overview of what those actions may be, and how does that get disseminated to the community if we need volunteers for staffing or sandbagging or those types of things?
Sure. We have a stockpile of sandbags and rolls of plastic that we can make sand berms, basically a sand dike, lay the plastic over, and then sandbag it down. That's the best effort for a long stretch. If we do come to that, we'll need to fill sandbags. We'll use social media, Facebook, Channel 10. We thought about Nixle. A lot of people get those notifications, and just word of mouth. Once we get going. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that, but that's our plan. We've got sand stockpiled at our shop and a pile at LG that they have set aside for us.
If it gets worse than that and people get displaced or anything to that nature, we've got plans in place for that? And keep in
Correct.
contact? Okay.
In the past, we're going to use a community center. There's a kitchen, plenty of restrooms, and then we'd also coordinate with Nate Heisinger with Sioux County Emergency Management Agency, and then with Red Cross, get some cots and whatever bottled water, other needs that we might need.
stated earlier that you've been kind of moving snow and property areas and things. If there are homeowners that feel that they'd like some of that displaced, who should they call or how should they get a hold of the city?
They can call the city during work hours, or they could call my cell. It's on one of the emergency
Okay.
listings too.
Either that or go through the police office and
Police office,
get
yeah.
it all coordinated.
Yep.
Okay. It's a little bit different than this flooding because it's not all coming right now from the north, coming down the river at this
Right.
point, so.
Yeah, a lot of localized, all of Sioux County. I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot of roads underwater.
Stay safe then, obviously, out there. Mike, anything from your perspective, please?
Just to remind people, we are taking applications for an economic development director. We'll continue to leave that open until we have a good pool of applicants we feel we can choose from to schedule interviews, so.
Any comments from council before we move on? Anything from Travis?
I have one.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to remind everyone about the spring fling that's coming up. We have the Chamber Events Committee is hosting kind of a vendor fair at the community center on Saturday from 9 to 2. It's full. We have over 30 vendors. We're trying to fit everybody in there. So we got a really good response. So it's going to be a lot of fun with a bake sale, lunch, coffee, all of pulling out everything for that. So we're really excited for that. So I just invite everybody to stop by if they have time.
Thank you very much. We'll move on then to other agenda items. Number 3, we will do the appointments and oath of office. So we will start, please, with Terry. Bring your hand up here. Ask that you raise your right hand and read your oath of office, please.
I, Terry Shea, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially do the best of my ability to discharge all the duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Hawarden as now and hereafter required by law. Thank you.
Can you do that over here? We're going to sign one. There, and then sign the other one, and then we'll sign a few, and we'll give you one for your time.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well, thank you kindly.
Watch your step. Thank you very much.
I, Robert Bach, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially to the best of my ability discharge all the duties of the Board of Zoning Adjustment of the City of Hawarden as now or hereafter required by law.
Thank you very much.
I, Israel Korea, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all duties of the Hospital Trustee, Hawarden Regional Healthcare Board, as now and hereafter required by law. Thank you.
we as a community would be lost without people that volunteer their time and their talents. So thank you very much for doing that. I lost mine. Next agenda item is agenda item number 4, Resolution 2019-05. This is adopting a final proposed draft budget for the publications and ordering a notice of public hearing for March 27th on the proposed final budget estimate for fiscal year 2019 and 2020.
You may notice we passed a resolution last meeting to do the same thing. We did not get it in the paper in time to be published for the required period, so we have to pass the new resolution to set the public hearing and pass it at the next meeting. The state did give us an extension until the 29th to get that done, so.
So moved.
It's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. No clarifications needed. It was just giving, I think. Call for a roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2019-05.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 3-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2019-05 passes. Agenda item number 5, Resolution 2019-06, adopting the IAMU Natural Gas Operator Qualification Program for the City of Hawarden. 194 pages, I understand.
Correct.
Okay, you've read those, and any comments from your point of view with this resolution?
They just updated their system. It's totally online, more hands-on. The old system, they were mailed out tests, same tests every year, so they wanted to get a better handle on how the tests were taken. So they came out with this new program, and we'd like to follow along.
Any questions from council for Travis or Jim in regards to this resolution? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for Resolution 2019-06.
So moved.
Moved by Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. I'd call a roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2019-06.
Olson.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 3-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2019-06 passes. Agenda item number 6, Resolution 2019-07, proposing to dispose of real property, publishing a notice of a public hearing. Pass this to Mike, please.
Several meetings ago, Ryan Noble, representing Truesdale Oil, came in with a desire to purchase city-owned lot in the industrial park. At that time, they were looking at putting in a 30,000-gallon LP tank, and then eventually maybe a building for their trucks and stuff for their business to continue operating Truesdale Oil out of Hawarden, which has been done for many, many years. So after some negotiation with Ryan, we've agreed upon a price. There will be an economic rebate on that price that we will give him. And he did call me today. I thought he was calling me because his lot was underwater, but actually he said that they're going to up that to a 45,000-gallon LP tank, which is, better probably for everybody around. They can just get a lot more transfers in. So at this point, we just need to set the public hearing to dispose of the property at the next meeting.
This resolution then will set the public hearing for next meeting, 27th of March.
Yes.
So moved.
A motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. Roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2019-07.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
With a 3-0 vote, Resolution 2019-07 passes. Move to agenda item number 7, a request from Matty Kuiper, Jeff Champlin, and Sportsman's Alliance for a street closure to be held on June the 22nd for a street dance. Pass this
the-
to Mike too, please.
On the 22nd of June is the Booster Club golf tournament. And Matt and Jeff approached us about doing a street dance afterwards that night with sportsmen. They'd been working with Brian. They're requesting a street closure as pointed out in the map. It would be part of 7th and 8th Street, where they would hope to bring in some food trucks and some bleachers. It's a free will offering to get in, and all the money will go back to the Boosters Club. Jeff is currently in a band, and their band is going to be playing, so they just wanted to do a little more than just the golf tournament and everybody go home.
Do they handle then the, what items do they handle in regards to the fencing and those types of things, and what do we handle in regards to the police?
They'll have the complete setup. They'll have to do all the setup. Brian will have to do what he needs to do with his liquor license to be able to sell there. We have talked to them about hiring a couple police officers or reimbursing for a couple of police officers to work the event. So we've worked all those details out, and they're very agreeable to all of that.
So moved.
Motion by Travis, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jan. This will allow them for a street closure as noted on the map for June the 22nd. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hope it stops raining by then. And we thank them, though, for their efforts in
Yeah.
promoting the Westview Booster Club and everything, again, that volunteer people do. Agenda item number 8, discussion on entering into an agreement with the Iowa DOT on expanding the bridge on Highway 12.
Iowa DOT has scheduled for 22, is it 22? To resurface the bridge by Linetz. We've had discussions before about the foot traffic that goes across that bridge. We've talked to them in the past about putting a walking lane in there to protect people that have to cross there. And previously, they've been reluctant to do so because of the cost. Well, there was a grant available through the state that actually would give to the city, but then would be given to the DOT for $150,000 towards that project. If the DOT is going to write the grant, if they're successful, the extra lane is going to cost about $250,000. They said the DOT would cover that if we would provide a walking path up to it and away from it to try and get people off the highway as much as we can. What Travis and I have talked about is utilizing part of the top of the dike. We're working, we got to get the blessing from the Corps yet, and we're working through some other small issues, but we would keep the walking path mainly on city property, and we would run it from behind to the east of Linette Implement over to the top of the dike, and then we would do that part concrete. On top of the dike, since the Corps has such stringent rules on the concrete you got to put on top of it, we would propose a gravel or a Class A walking path, kind of like that's down east of town. And then they would do the cement crossing on the bridge and then come back on the dike, and then as they left the dike area again would turn into concrete walking path. We've done some different pricing on concrete. It's going to be about $35,000 would be our contribution for doing the concrete on the walking path. We're still working through, like I said, some of the issues with the Corps and things like that. So, but if we can, it's a very cheap alternative as far as what we've looked at before. We've looked at putting a bridge out there. We've looked at doing several different things, which is very costly. The reason that we went to the east of Linetz was if we keep it in the state right-of-way, everything has to follow ADA compliancy. So with the slope of the dike, that would be almost impossible to do. That would probably kill the whole deal because you have to have a very gradual slope. So keeping on city property, we're thinking we can, then we would do some fill on the side of the dike so it's not so steep, and then we would run the sidewalk up around the back part of, we call it Scroggs Pond, and then we would need an easement for just a little bit of area from the co-op, and then the rest of it's back to city property and chamber property, and we would run it all the way to Sunshine Foods. So we're just in the planning stages, just wanted to fill the council in, make sure nobody had a huge objection to it. But, we would really feel that a lot safer if people had a walking path across that bridge.
We're thankful that the DOT is willing to allow us to work with them and
Yes.
to doing that in that
Yeah.
bridge area, because that's just been
It is.
been a
There's
concern for
there's
years.
no room.
Strollers and walkers and bikes. This looks like a great alternative.
Yeah. The next, once we get it done, the next plan would be to get people trained to use it, like that, But no matter what, the bridge will be, the walking across the bridge will be done. If they choose to walk on the shoulder of the road, they'll have an alternate path, but at least they won't be on that bridge when cars are going both ways, so.
And I think they're pretty receptive for the levee, using that for,
I'm still waiting to hear back from, but we have done it in the past. There's a section on 7th Street that ties into that, so.
as long as you don't impact their, yeah.
Right. All it would be is additional dirt on the outside of the levee and the sidewalk.
And then maybe we can do a little bit around that pond a little bit,
Yeah, we talked about maybe some benches and
some bench,
along
dress
the-
that up a little bit, and
Yeah,
This would also enhance part of our walking path because you can get out, on our walking path, you can get out to 3rd Street and then come down and go back on this area, so.
Yeah.
Just kind of be a continuation of that as
I
well.
was going to ask that too, to see if it was part,
Yeah.
could be that. Be nice.
any other questions about this project at this point?
Looks good.
Thanks for looking into that, we appreciate that,
Yep.
and give our thanks to the DOT for including us in those conversations.
Yeah, it was nice. They're the ones that even initiated the conversation on it, so they are thinking of us as well, so.
And if there's anything we can help to get that, obviously the grant type of thing, so. Okay. Appears we've run out of agenda items, so our next regular stated meeting then will be Wednesday, March the 27th, right back here at 5:30. And in between now and then will be the Chamber Banquet, celebrating 100 years, and St. Patty's Day, so we all get back here by the 27th. So I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks for that. Hearing none, City Council's adjourned.